So you've been into the paranormal for how long?
I would say at least the past 13 years.
Let's talk about ghost hunting. Let's talk about paranormal investigations.
Let's do it.
Have you ever been to a place, or at least noticed a team investigating a place that was obviously rigged?
I have.
Welcome, friends. Oh my God, I'm back in my new home, and we have our first ever actual esteemed guest. Sitting next to me, I have Grim Jim Paranormal. Jim is a corporate director of development for a TV and film production company based in Los Angeles, California.
That is correct.
He is also the supervising producer and host of his own paranormal network. He does his investigations on social media platforms all across the web, and he is not hard to find. I Googled my friend before he got here, and I did some deep diving. So today's gonna be a fun one. Grim Jim has his own paranormal investigation team and might be looking for heads, I'm told, right?
I'm a headhunter right now.
Okay, here we go.
I advise you to call this party off now. The ghosts are already moving, and that's a bad sign.
Jim, you've been working in TV for 15 years?
Yes, sir. 15 years.
Wow. Jim has one of the most fascinating jobs on the planet. He is able to idealize, conceptualize, and get on paper shows to pitch for networks. Roku, what? TLC, what? Travel Channel, what? History Channel, what? Good. Could you elaborate on how certain shows are able to get footage every single time?
Right. Yeah, one of my first shows I ever worked on was a national broadcast paranormal show. I'm not going to say which one. It's been around for quite a while. It definitely was something that was out of the box thinking for me. That was the first show I ever worked on. I was super surprised by what producers really do. We were doing a live event. That probably gives away a little bit more what show it was in West Virginia, and just seeing all the behind the scenes stuff of what happens, and to be able to see what I do different compared to what producing a TV show like that. There's a lot of fluff that's in TV.
Yeah.
You can't just crank on a camera and expect to see a ghost walk through a wall.
Now, hey, let's admit, these TV shows do have resources that maybe us local investigators don't have. They can go to active places. They can have it set up so that they can go there and investigate for free. We go into certain places and we can end up in cuffs. Keep that in mind. This is not always a legal thing. So you've been into the paranormal for how long?
I would say at least the past 13 years.
And you began investigating how long?
Probably about 5 years ago is when
Okay.
I really started getting into it. And let me be very transparent here. I have always been interested in the paranormal. I had my first experience probably about 12 or 13 years ago. And I would say probably within the past 5 years, I've really gotten into investigating. So this isn't me that's been doing this for 15 years or anything. I've recently got into investigating.
Let's talk about ghost hunting. Let's talk about paranormal investigations.
Let's do it.
Have you ever been to a place, or at least noticed a team investigating a place that was obviously rigged?
I have.
Of course, we can't go into details, can we?
No, I totally can. I don't mind. I think that people should definitely note these places because they portray themselves as something that they're not.
Of course.
I went on an investigation probably about 2 years ago, and it was the Sharon Tate house.
Sure.
So it's like literally right across the street from where the Sharon Tate murder took place. To be very clear, it's the Omen house. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. A lot of YouTubers go there, a lot of social media influencers. The thing that really turned me off was when we went to the basement and the lights started flickering, and I started noticing they were in a pattern. So I started timing it with my phone. I'm like, this is on some type of switch or something. The owner came down, he was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I'm like, dude, you don't deserve an Emmy for that, man. Like,
oh my God.
and it just kept on happening. And
You curse his ass out?
I didn't say anything to him. I brought it up
For
to my...
disrespecting your time?
No.
Got me set up with all this gear here for you to play games with me?
I really hate that people like that, and I'm not saying that he does it to everybody, but that's really taking advantage of people because it costs money to get into these places to investigate.
Yes.
Unless you're doing it illegally or you have, you know, the authority to be there.
Investigation of all time that you've had out of the handful you've...
I would say the best investigation I've ever had was back in a town called Simi Valley, California. And I was with my colleague at the time, and we were just clicked on the obulus, and these names started coming through. And we found out about a murder that had happened there. And literally this person is communicating with us the entire time. He was Baker Ron Baker is his name. He was a UCLA student back in the early 90s, and he was really into the occult, dark magic kind of stuff. Well, his friends knew that he comes from a well-established family and kidnapped him to take him for ransom because they wanted money. Well, when they found him, he was unalive in a train tunnel, the Manson tunnels, where the Manson family would travel back and forth. Yes. And he had a pentagram on, so they thought it was an occult murder. But he was unalive so much, his head was almost decapitated. As we were communicating the entire time, our REM pods are going off, asking questions, words, names are coming through, our obulus. It was a pretty amazing investigation.
With residual haunts, it just seems like it doesn't matter if you're there or not. That guy went to pee every night at 2 in the morning and flushed the toilet.
The Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
Sure.
I want to share something with that. So you were talking about the children's ward. So we were setting up to do a live investigation, and I remember one of my first experiences I've ever had. This was for National Broadcast Network, and I remember somebody coming over radio. It's like 6, 7 o'clock at night. This is about October-ish, and they say, "Jim, can you cut off your headlamp? We need to test the IRs." And I remember cutting it off. And if you've ever had a cat do like a figure 8 through your legs, you know, you feel that. I had that happen. And they said, "All right, everything's good, copy, come on down." So I go to Video Village where all the monitors are set up, and they're like, "The camera's perfect in the children's ward." And I'm like, what? If you have a chance, go to the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in West Virginia. Mountain town, middle of nowhere, crazy.
I saw you throwing up on an investigation. Puking retching. That wasn't a game changer for you? That wasn't all right, that, you know, like, because some people like myself, like if that happens to me, I'm probably, all right, I'm probably gonna go ahead and go on home now. I don't like being discomforted.
So these things are attracted to me. These spirits, ghosts, whatever you want to call them. And I'm a magnet. I don't know why, if they just trust me or they, you know, what that may be. But no, I'm not. A lot of people ask me, "Are you scared to go to these places? Aren't you?" No, I'm not scared. I think the living scares me more than the dead.
Yeah, sure. I was gonna say fear the living, not the dead, for sure.
Yeah.
In regards to communicating, do you feel that like you and the provocation?
You're right.
And they provoke.
Every time I see like Ghost Adventures or like one of those shows, they do a lot of provoking.
Yes.
Do I think it works? No, I think it's just super disrespectful. Because when you go into a location, you're a guest in their area. You know, this is where their traumatic events happen. This is where the residuals are.
Yes. There are places that I want to so badly. Like I think my dream investigation, I don't even know if I'll ever be able to make it happen. But the Queen Mary.
My buddy does lives there all the time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because like you gotta remember, it saw some deaths, but we're talking about a party boat. 24 and more, party, everyone's drunk. If someone fucking drowns, it's because they were drunk. So I would love to feel what that energy is, because I've heard so many different stories and they're all so good. The pros and cons of ghost hunting, being a paranormal documentarian.
We'll start off with the cons,
Sure.
because I feel like we can always go up from the bottom there, right?
Yes.
I would say going to investigations and something manipulating your footage, losing everything. I've had that happen. So all the time you spent on planning, going to shoot, investigating, and it's just gone. I mean, that's a big con. You've invested time, money, energy into it, and it's done. Pros, being able to document something. And I'm not saying every time you go somewhere you're going to find something, because that's not the way to think about it. To be able to share something with someone and show that I can communicate with the other side, that's life-changing, because there's a lot of people that are skeptic that don't believe in this stuff. It's a very rewarding field to be able to share that with people.
What is your favorite piece of gear as far as investigating goes?
My most recent piece that I built, I like the Spirit Portal. So what that is a SB7, which is a spirit box. Most people know it as like a hacked radio, if you will. It scans through frequencies and channels. So when you're watching these shows and you're hearing the white noise, that's an SB7. So what I've done, and other people have done, is I've taken an external speaker, put on guitar pedals. So there's a noise gate and there's a reverb pedal. So it gets rid of all the and you just hear the words come through. It's a game changer.
Genius.
It's a really game changer.
Because now you're not really hearing all the static. because you have the noise gate.
Exactly. Some people call it a heaven's gate. Like they use it to talk to spirits and stuff.
Okay.
Definitely my REM pods. REM pods are always a must. A REM pod, it's a sensor, little puck. It's kind of thick here. And as any energy gets close to it, it starts to light up. So the intensity as it gets closer will correspond with the lights and the sounds that are coming through it. I think people have a bad idea of like Ouija boards as well. I should say that.
Guilty. I have a bad feeling about them.
You know, there's a right way to open and close these boards.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
You know, when kids would go to, like back in the day, we're pretty close to the same age. Kids would go back to Spencer's and say, I want that Ouija board. And they just mess around. They would open up stuff.
And first thing, burn it, get rid of it, throw it out.
Exactly. But there's proper ways to do that. You just have to educate yourself. And that's part of research, you know.
Have you ever played Marry Kill?
I'm familiar with what it is.
One you get to bang, one you get to marry, one you get to kill. You use that as relatively as possible.
Sure.
Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, or Sam and Colby?
God. So Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, and Sam and Colby. My thought on the whole social media influencing, it's crap. I mean, I've watched a few of their things. Sure, they go to some pretty cool places.
Of course.
But that's what happens when you start getting funding and monetization. You can go do the fun stuff.
Of course.
And then once you get
you might even get some footage.
Exactly. I would say, figuratively speaking, let's go ahead and kill off Ghost Adventures. I'll go ahead and marry whatever Ghost Hunters, and I'll out of Sam and Colby.
No, I'm gonna have to it out of that because the man's doing something right, and he's gonna have to give me some of that mojo. I'm gonna have to kill Sam and Colby because, you know, I'm in my mid-30s. I get it. I don't want to be a hater. I think you kids you're killing it. You're killing it, and you're making money. So don't worry about what I say, but the content you're getting is ass. I would have to marry Ghost Hunters because they are the true OGs and got me into ghost hunting regardless of their and things of that nature. So my man Grim Jim has some beautiful artwork at his home. If he allows me, I will put some on the screen right now. So my man just has macabre art to a science, and it's beautiful. So you did mention to me that some of your objects that you have attachments.
I do.
And that has no effect on you?
It doesn't. I mean, one is a composite doll from the late 1800s. The funny thing is she wears a bulletproof vest, a little mini bulletproof vest.
That's hilarious.
And I do a lot of social media lives where I'll set up my equipment and I'll ask people to communicate or just be engaged, and they'll ask questions and my stuff goes off while we're talking to her on live.
You have a daughter. And
Two.
you have two daughters.
Yes.
How old are they, if I may ask?
They'll be 8 and 9 this year.
Ooh. Okay.
I literally took them on their first investigation 2 weeks ago.
Oh shit, I was gonna ask you like what's gonna happen when they come to you and say they want to be ghost hunters.
They know what Dad does. They tell everybody at school, oh, Dad's a TV producer and he's a paranormal investigator.
Oh, forget it. So they all think you're Zach.
I wouldn't say that.
What's your ultimate goal as a paranormal documentarian?
I want to be able to share evidence with people. I'm just going to say a short-term goal here.
Sure.
In the next 6 months, if I'm not out filming, which I mean, I do have a couple shows that are in the works right now. We'll see what happens. I want to do a paranormal tour. So I want to hit like 10 different towns in like 2 weeks and just investigate them. Line them up just like back in the day, DIY tour. You call the venue, you set it up, you go play. I would definitely say one more small short-term goal, maybe it's the long game. I'd really like to bring back MTV Fear.
Yeah!
I think that was such an amazing concept. You take these randos, put them in a safe location, give them this made-up story, and then say, go investigate it.
Are you interested in ghost hunting? Do you want to work with someone that is seasoned? Do you have any interest in going to places that you've never been before and maybe you want to investigate paranormally? Well, Grim Jim is looking to start up a team. He is based out here in Las Vegas. So reach out to Grim Jim Paranormal on TikTok or Instagram. Maybe we can go on a hunt together. So if you're in the Las Vegas or near the Utah border, join Grim Jim Paranormal for a hunt today. Grim, what would you say is your advice to those that maybe are experiencing paranormal activity in their home? What's some advice that you give someone that maybe doesn't know about this stuff?
Again, I'm not a professional in this field. I'll just give you my opinion.
There's no such thing as professionals in this field. Thank you. Unless you were a ghost and now no longer a ghost, let us know.
I would definitely say, I mean, seek the right help for it. I mean, if there is like a local paranormal group, or, you know, try to debunk it. Like, we're having sounds coming from our basement. Like, debunk it. Like, don't go into it thinking like my house is possessed or haunted or whatever.
Consider all options before you jump to demon. Yeah?
Look for local people in your area to help, and if they can't help you, then, you know, reach out to me. I mean, I'm willing to make a drive. If you guys are interested in seeing more content, sometimes it's comedy, sometimes it's investigation, sometimes you'll catch me on live on TikTok. But be sure to check out Grim Jim Paranormal on all social media platforms. And if you want to get in touch, there's ways that are on there, emails or direct message me. And I just want to thank Chris for having me on and this opportunity. This is great.
So, thank you so much for Grim Jim for joining us today, man. I hope that you reach out to Grim Jim. If you are local to Utah, Nevada, anywhere near the Vegas area, reach out to Grim Jim Paranormal. It's time to build a ghost hunting team. If you like what you heard, if you want to hear more from Grim Jim and me, let us know in the comments down below. Did you hear a topic you want to hear more about? Let us know down below. And do your boy a favor. Like, subscribe, comment, share, and do the work, because I love you so much. And Grim Jim loves you so much.